The journey starts out well enough when cruising on the smooth expressway. But once the turn is made into the Lokogoma district proper, the story changes. This is the reality of the residents of Lokogoma district, just a few miles away from the city center. This area boasts of the highest number of housing estates in the capital city, which goes to show the large number of people living in these parts, yet do not enjoy good infrastructure. Traffic is a way of life here, making it a difficult task to get to work in good time, and public transport is hard to come by. Who is to blame for these challenges is the question I pose to some residents, while the blame swings between the developers who are quick to sell property but do not keep their end of the bargain, and the FCT administration as well.
We've made every effort to just make things work for ourselves here. Okay. You could see most of the things that the developers are supposed to do, like the basic infrastructures, the roads, they are not completed. And for us to move in here is because of the high cost of renting, in the city. So we have to, it's a burden for us.
Among the estates around, we have formed committees to be able to create this access. And we've been tasking ourselves to do that. So we're actually pleading on government to actually come to our aid, especially on the accessibility and security. That's the major thing that makes a place habitable.
Lokogoma is a fast-developing area under the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC. Houses here are priced at millions of naira. Rent is also expensive, which makes many wonder why the Federal Capital Territory Administration has been slow in giving the required attention to this area. Now, as much as poor infrastructure is a major issue in these parts, insecurity, the spate of armed robbery attacks are even more worrisome for the residents. Most of them have to depend on local vigilantes, private security, to cater for their security needs, owing to the poor presence or absolute absence of the police here. This estate, for instance, IPEND 2, grapples with regular robbery attacks and have now enlisted the services of local vigilantes. Some homes have been visited by men of the underworld more than once. This resident here recounts his experience that has left him traumatized.
Around 1:30 a.m. that fateful day morning, some group of armed robbers came to my residence. They were about 10 in number, and then 5 of them were outside while 5 others gained access into my residence. Well, it was a bitter experience, but we thank God.
What happened?
None of my children or people staying with me in the house were hurt, but then they went away with some valuables.
A dog is a man's best friend, they say. Very apt in this situation. This household has as many as 3. The man of the house is not taking chances at all, with dogs on the prowl and a private guard manning the premises at all times.
There is no police post, and then the police that we had to even deploy here, they had to manage in some of our security houses, and it's a burden.
The FCT should try and ensure that the developers play their own part. For instance, they have to secure the estates by building security, the perimeter fence around the estates. They have to also make facilities like the road networks.
The spokesperson for the FCT Police Command tries to explain the situation.
Even before we talk of districts, we have strategic points that we have our policemen located. That is 1. 2, every division have enough patrol vehicles that patrol in and out of all districts and residential units within those divisions. And that Lokogoma is no exception.
Well, this is a very contrary view from the realities on ground, as many residents yet insist they have to take responsibility for the minimal police presence they get once in a while by filling patrol vehicles and other initiatives. Doris Okenwa, Channel Television News.
Etisola, now you're talking.
We're in Anambra State now, where the women have been reminded of their roles as agents of positive change, both in the home and in the larger society. At the annual General Women's Conference in Norca, the wife of the state's governor, Mrs. Margaret Obi, acknowledged that Anambra has realized more than the 35% affirmative action.
It's an all-ladies affair in Anambra State. Women from all walks of life converge on the Women's Development Center in Awka for the annual General Women's Conference. They are led by the wife of the governor, Mrs. Margaret Obi. It might be a women's affair, but the governor is also welcome. It's Mrs. Obi's last time to preside over this forum because Anambra State is soon to hold governorship elections. By the time of next year's August Women's Conference, she would have a successor. But she has some words for the women to hold on to beyond her tenure.
Today we are advising our mothers, our sisters, our daughters that the change can start within the home. Once you start the change in the home, in your families, it spreads to the community, it spreads to the